Lore Together is proud to be part of the Boss Rush Games Network. Feel free to find out more at bossrushgames.com/network. Hi, I'm Safi.
And I'm Mystic.
And this is Lore Together. This is the podcast where a husband and wife team go over all the world building, storytelling, and characters of video games, because it's what we like to do together. We lore together.
Yep, and this is episode 78.
Woohoo! 78, yes.
But before we get into the episode, we're going to change things up here a little bit. If you'd like to contact us, you can do that in many different ways. On Twitter, Instagram, Reddit, Mastodon, or through email. All those links are down in the description. Please contact us there with any feedback or just come see what we're posting about.
Yeah, and let us know what you think of the show. Don't forget about 5-star reviews on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yep. And if you'd like to support the podcast monetarily, you can do that over on patreon.com/loretogether, where you can pay a per episode pledge to get early access to episodes, as well as our Let's Plays and other things as well, including our Unreal series, which I had to get back to.
Yeah, there's unfortunately too many things going on, but we're trying to keep up with, we're getting back to Lorik, and we are actually...
We have a couple episodes of Lorik Idukin coming out.
Laura Idukin of Dragon Age and Lorik of Skyrim we're trying to get back to.
Yep.
So, but enough of all of what we're doing in our limited free time.
Let's get into the episode.
Yes, Mystic, what is it that you're going to regale me about today?
This is a game that has the Steam tag prominently displayed walking simulator. It is a 2017 game by Fulbright, which are the developers of Gone Home, a game we will do eventually. We are not doing it this time.
Okay.
I found this to be more compelling as a game, or at least as a story.
Oh, okay.
I've already told you the year and the developer. You probably don't know this game at all.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah.
So this is a game called Tacoma.
I feel like I've heard this title before, but it...
Not just the city? Or the truck?
It could be. Yeah, you know what? That's probably what it is. It's either the city or more likely the truck. Yeah, Tacoma.
So we have a ton of nominations here for storytelling, narrative, as well as audio design.
Ooh.
They didn't win any of them. We have a bunch of nominations, so still a good game. We haven't covered a bad game yet, so... I mean... No, we haven't.
We haven't? No, I think when we do the Sonic series, that's when we start dabbling in bad games.
We will get to that at some point.
Bad games that we will...
But we have to figure out which era of Sonic we're covering and whether we consider the comics to be canon or the TV show. Like, there's a dozen TV shows.
That's true. That's true. They definitely tried to milk the potential for the kids' show with him.
Tacoma is an exploration game set aboard a seemingly empty space station in 2088. You can see how I might like this a little bit.
That's totally our jam. That's completely our jam. Mm-hmm.
The player character, Amy, acquires an augmented reality device that allows her to review actions and conversations of the crew that has been aboard the station.
So this is feeling a lot like there's that Star Trek short where the guy gets on the Federation ship and he doesn't even really know what the Federation is, and he's learning the story of the ship through its computer. It's AI, essentially.
I am not familiar with this. You'll have to show me this later.
You know,
or I've forgotten
You've forgotten about this one, because you've seen it. It has the dancing scene. With,
Okay.
With the hollow...
Okay, yeah. All right. A little bit.
Okay, yeah. I was gonna say, like, the dancing scene. I'm sorry, there's not a lot of scenes about dancing in Star Trek. So
okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. That is a great short.
Unless you're gonna have Q doing, his little samba step thing with the mariachi band in the background. Yeah.
So these recordings can be manipulated, kind of fast-forwarding, rewinding as necessary to get all detail. You can, and it's not like, you're watching this one room. Like, it can be like this whole area, and people are all over the place. So you have to rewind, watch what happens with the one character, watch how they interact, all that stuff.
This reminds me of that little pseudo experiment when they say, okay, watch the bee.
A little bit.
And then suddenly you're like, did you notice the gorilla? And you're like, excuse me, what?
Yeah. I believe it was basketball, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
There's been many different variations of it. And the one I always remember is, okay, watch them pass the bee. And then they say, did you notice the man in the gorilla costume? And I'm saying, excuse me?
Pass the bee.
So it was like 6 people in a circle dancing around in this weird synergy, passing around like a little stuffed bee.
Oh, I've seen the basketball one. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, that's definitely, and then suddenly there's a man in a gorilla costume.
Yeah.
And there's plenty iterations of it. The basketball, I think, is the OG.
Yeah, I even heard that one on CSI, I believe, where he was like, they asked what gorilla, and I think the CSI was using that as an example of how people don't pay attention to everything.
That's so true.
And the police officer just goes, if I see someone in a gorilla suit, I'll arrest them.
Okay. We're profiling gorilla suits now. Okay.
So yeah, basically we can follow people as they move about during these big recordings.
Okay.
The Tacoma, or Lunar Transfer Station Tacoma, as it's officially called, we'll call it Tacoma, is a station fully owned by Venturis Corporation, an Italian multinational technology and manufacturing conglomerate known most for being involved in artificial intelligence as well as space tourism, space industry, stuff like that.
It's really interesting that although for the first few decades of real space exploration, it was all, done by the government, that a lot of the imaginations that are thinking about future space exploration are thinking about it in terms of profit.
Oh, just wait.
And there's just so... I'm just thinking of Outer Worlds. I'm making sure I'm saying the right title there. And just similarly, other video game fiction seems to be seemingly focused on the corporatization of space exploration in a way that does not reflect even modern. I mean, you have SpaceX, I guess, and you have like Virgin's kind of doing something, right?
There's a bunch,
but they're not. They have not done the big things yet. Nobody's really done anything super cool with it.
Right. The Tacoma is basically a cargo transfer point between Earth and the Venturis Zenith Lunar Resort, which is basically ultra high class resort for the rich. It's also the first in thousands of planned bungalows Venturis hasn't been able to put in orbit yet, but they're planning on it.
Okay. So it sounds like rich people pay to get a massage on the moon. Like it's a spa
kind of,
on the moon. I got my pedicure done in a crater.
There's an advertisement in the game about the zero gravity bungalows and how you can like meditate in zero gravity and how
What is this, The Sims? Seriously. But yeah, I find it interesting that a lot of times when it comes to the luxuries that the rich afford, it's basically, it's not like you did anything that's really relaxing, that like brought it up to 11, but I did the really relaxing thing with a view I had to pay $20,000 for.
Yeah.
That just seems to be the theme of consumerism going on.
Amy has been sent to the Tacoma by Venturis because the crew has mysteriously been evacuated.
The crew has... So, evacuated could mean many different things right now?
Not out of like an airlock. They've...
Okay.
Yeah.
So they've evacuated themselves, supposedly.
Yes.
Okay.
And obviously because of that, there's some weirdness afoot.
Okay.
We, Amy...
Yes.
Are to get into the station and kind of back up its AI and all the data.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Wait, they should just have a black box.
This is kind of the stand-in. There's like interfaces where you put this thing that will download all the data.
But there should just be one centralized black box.
Yeah, well, then there wouldn't be a game.
We live in the future, quite literally.
Then there wouldn't be a game. We even have a kind of weirdly kludged together system on our little ship to hold the AI in, like it's not particle board, but it's like plywood and everything, and just says insert AI here.
Now it just seems like Outer Wilds. I'm getting my references confused, guys.
But it feels very rush. The station entry process is all very corporate. Literally everything we do and everything we see on the station is corporate secret, blah, blah, blah. You get the drill.
Uh-huh.
This world is one where corporations have basically taken over a lot of things. There's an Amazon University, a Hilton College. Carnival Cruise Lines is now a space travel company with trips to Jupiter.
So friggin' gross. Just so gross.
However, okay, Unlike many other dystopian worlds, which that would be a dystopian world, there are some interesting diversions from the trope here.
Okay.
This is a diverse crew. Straight, gay, lesbian, and apparently completely open borders for this corporation, as no two people on this crew are from the same country.
Oh, very cool.
Also, for a corporate nightmare, there's also unions in this world. Very powerful ones that actually enact laws and change.
I can dig it. Yeah.
One we hear of are the Orbital Hospitality and Logistics Union. They will come into play not quite a bit, but they're definitely there in the background for a lot of these characters.
Well, when it comes to doing business that involves space, where people are going to be for long periods of time in an environment where survival is, merely a hair's breadth away from being unsustainable within an instant, you're probably going to have people unionize to make sure that they're not going to get spaced out of nowhere.
Right. Corporatism aside, the world history here is kind of fascinating. We don't know a heck of a lot about it, but there are all the same global players that we have now. But everything's been chopped up and mashed back together.
This sounds kind of like what I was doing with, and I won't give all the details on it, but
Not quite.
But yeah, I ran a campaign that was inspired with ideas like this, and then I got tired of doing it, so I did a space one. And it's funny, so it seems like that those two are converging in the concept of this game.
Fulbright did a huge rewrite on the globe as a whole. For example, the U.S. as all 50 states just doesn't exist.
Okay, that makes sense.
Everything has been recombined with Canada and Mexico into other countries.
Right. Yeah.
However, beyond a few details, like that these countries do border each other, we don't even know like what states are in which countries in total.
I feel like Illinois got broken very much in half.
Nope.
Oh. Okay. So we know that one.
As an example of this, though, California, America.
Okay.
I don't think it's actually California, America. I think I got that wrong. I think it's California, America.
California?
Yeah.
Okay.
Consists of California, Baja California Sur, Sonora, Jalisco, and Mexico City, along with 11 other states. Its capital remains Sacramento, California, or has changed to Mexico City Ciudad, which is also its largest city, but we don't know which is the actual capital. It's a little murky.
Oh, okay.
We have other countries. These are all in, quote, the American area, USA area. We have other countries like the Freedom Republic.
Oh, we can guess where that is.
Confederacy of the North American Agri-Power Producers, which Chicago is part of that one.
Agri-Power Producers.
Yes. That one, the only things I remember being part of that were Wisconsin was the only U.S. state, but Chicago is its capital. So I'm assuming Illinois is involved, as well as Saskatchewan and Manitoba, as well as a bunch of the Midwest.
Yeah, I was going to say. And that makes sense, too, because for those of you who don't know, some of the most fertile land is literally right outside of Chicago. You just drive a couple hours and you're there. You just can pop a seed and suddenly you got a whole field, apparently, if you do it right. So
another one that kind of came to mind, and this is the one that first clued me in when I was doing my blind Let's Play, that something was a little not, present day distributions, was the country Cascadia First Nations.
Oh, wow.
It is basically the Pacific Northwest of the U.S. and the Pacific Southwest of Canada. Actually, the Pacific West. We just don't know if Yukon is involved.
Interesting. Yeah.
You want to know the real kicker for me, though, from all of this? You ready for this country? This is a country in this. USSREU.
The United...
USSREU.
Okay. USSREU.
Which is exactly what it sounds like.
Wow. Okay, interesting.
Some places have fascinating histories, and those places are places that most people in our present day have never heard of, like the Republic of Kiribati. Kiribati in our present day is a small country that covers a vast swath of the Pacific Ocean, as it's basically 33 specks of land scattered over 3.5 million square kilometers. Mm-hmm. Interesting real-world fact, Kiribati is the only country in the world that is simultaneously in the Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, Eastern Hemisphere, and Western Hemisphere. It straddles all of the...
It is a great place to start an empire then, that's for sure.
In the future of Tacoma, Kiribati is still all of those things, but it's also governed by an AI named FAND, F-A-N-D, which is the first AI to write an autobiography and has been given the title Dame Controller of Kiribati, a title she elects not to use in her full name. FAND was written by Venturis.
Oh, so it is kind of a corporate nation managed by an AI?
Kind of. That's kind of all we know. Literally all of that I just told you about Kiribati, aside from the real world facts, comes from the back of a book someone's reading. So...
Well, also it's interesting that
actually, I think it's the autobiography they're reading.
But it's also interesting that this company that we've established has resorts, also owns a bunch of islands, so they probably invested in resorts on these islands of some sort.
Possibly, I don't know.
And then decided an AI would be a better manager, because we all know that artificial intelligence managing and making decisions after we programmed to do so has never resulted in anything awful at all.
Apparently this AI, for all intents and purposes, is well-liked as governor.
Well-liked and well-managed are two different things.
Fair. Let's get out of the world big picture and settle in with the story of the game. The crew Amy is investigating are the main players in the game's narrative. We are a bit player. Until the end.
All right.
We get pretty deep in them with these air recordings I mentioned, like invasions of privacy deep, including watching someone shower.
Yikes. Don't like it.
For those wondering, the recordings of people are very stylized. It's basically you're watching a mannequin, essentially. Yeah.
It still seems really invasive that you know exactly
it is, but it's all corporate property.
Oh, gosh. Okay.
Anyway, you know I'm going to saddle with you a bunch of names and characters, and I do apologize here. The world of Tacoma is very diverse. That's not a bad thing, but I have no idea how to do the pronunciation of all the names. Our main character goes by Amy, but her actual full name is Amijyoti Ferrier. So...
Oh, okay.
I'm glad I got that on the first try.
I feel like I've heard that name before, actually, so...
Let's start with Odin. Odin is the oldest member of the crew at nearly a century old, but that's because Odin is an AI.
Okay.
He's the station AI, and like many AIs, has the ability to evolve and grow and form relationships. Mm-hmm. In classic sci-fi trope style, the question eventually is, what is Odin capable of in regards to his directives and orders from his designers and owners at Venturis? Mm-hmm. There's a bunch of other AIs in the family, but other than Odin, the only one we really have any contact with is Juno, who is back at Venturis HQ, and we know pretty much nothing about Juno until the end of the game, so more on her later on. Mm-hmm. Next up on the crew, we have Evelyn Victoria St. James, or EV St. James. She's the station administrator of the 2088 crew.
Okay.
And has been serving as the administrator since at least 2083, so she's been through multiple crews.
Okay.
Her parents, Penelope St. James and Reginald St. James, and late younger sister Karen St. James, had all been involved in the building of Station Tacoma on Earth. Evie is from Cascadia First Nations. Tacoma was built in Tacoma.
Okay.
She's a fan of blues music, plays the guitar, and has a signed poster of Nikki Jemison from the Bessie Smith tribute tour.
Ooh.
Nikki is fictional, but Bessie Smith, for those unaware, was nicknamed the Empress of Blues and is widely regarded as one of the greatest singers of her era around the 1930s.
Yeah.
Evie is basically a captain of the ship, responsible for everything getting done and keeping everyone safe.
Ah, okay. So even though she's called an administrator.
Yeah. She's
leading the charge on the project at hand.
Yeah. The fact she's able to get everyone to agree on some pretty crazy ideas as the story goes on is testament to her ability to lead. Despite her seeming loyalty to Venturis, being on the station for years now, she's a union member, and even allows for Sergio Venturi's face to be plastered on the dartboard.
Nice. Well, I mean, if it keeps them happy and they're doing their job, why really argue against it?
Yeah, she knows where she stands in the pecking order and is not a fan of the profit-driven motive of the corporations, but you got to make a living.
Right. Sounds like that Flintstones joke. It's a living.
Yeah. Next, we have Clive Siddiqui. He is a Briton from the USSREU and is the operations specialist of the 2088 crew.
USSREU spread pretty far, I gotta say.
Yeah. He worked at the Orbital Hospital Logistics Union before his position on the Tacoma. There's a lot of union stuff here, obviously. Mm-hmm. Clive is a bit of a social climber, or at least attempting to be a social climber. Problem with Clive, though, is he's not loyal to any of the companies. Just jumping from opportunity to opportunity in a world where loyalty is a literal currency.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like he has a complex.
You can accrue loyalty points that you can transfer to real money.
That sounds like somebody who honestly has a problem and needs to talk to a therapist about it. Because it's one thing if... Okay, in our current system, the way we get jobs, loyalty's not really rewarded that well. So it makes more sense to...
It's not really rewarded that well in this universe either.
Okay.
I mean, it is a little bit like... We'll get to a character in a moment who is literally building up points to pay for a kid's education.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Like, yeah, but at the same time, it feels weird.
I was going to say, does it take 200,000 loyalty points to get the specialty socks or something?
Yeah, it's stuff. Yeah.
Okay, never mind. I'm going to rescind that comment.
Clive is way overqualified for his job because he keeps getting denied promotion.
Okay.
Because he's not loyal. Right. Last thing about Clive, he and Evie St. James are in a relationship.
Okay. Interesting. So he could commit to that, but not to a job. Okay.
Next, we have Andrew. I already apologize for the names, but here we go. Andrew Jigme Digieb. I don't know if I got that right at all.
Sorry.
But we're going to go with it.
All right.
He is an illustrator, but also the crew's botanist, which is important as their entire O2 supply and food supply is basically his job.
Okay.
He has a husband named Mark Figueroa and a son named Nicholas Digieb Figueroa. Okay. He is a stubborn man. He will keep trying a task before him until it's done, to the point it's causing a bit of a problem at home with his husband.
Uh-oh.
Basically, Andrew is staying up here to rack up loyalty points to pay for Nick's college.
Yeah.
But it means he's basically missing out on actually having a family life.
Yeah. The constant battle of, trying to do everything to make sure your kid wants for nothing. Yeah. And then what they end up wanting for is you.
Yeah. He feels underappreciated. His family doesn't appreciate his sacrifice. The crew doesn't take up his offer of prize orchids to decorate their quarters. Well, one does, but most don't. And he's also fighting the company that he works for recognition of a historic and tragic event. He's trying to get Venturis to have a corporate holiday to remember the Tibetan genocide.
Whoa.
Andrew is now a citizen of the Democratic Eastern Coalition, which is basically the northeast of the U.S., New England, as well as parts of Canada. Huh. But up until he was 5, he lived in Tibet. When he was 5 in 2052, he and his parents escaped Tibet as refugees as a result of the Tibetan genocide, an act of ethnic cleansing committed by the People's Republic of China, in which they systematically murdered thousands of Tibetans, including Andrew's grandmother.
Wow.
Andrew and his parents found refuge in New York City, where they found a home amongst many other Tibetan refugees. In fact, it seemingly, not confirmed, but seemingly is the reason that there's a new 6th borough called East River.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
So, yeah, it's not a holiday, and he is trying to make it one.
Well, that's hard to do. And he's only doing that in his country? Or
in his company.
That's a hard sell, I would think. Yeah. I mean, I get it. You should have a day of reverence for something like that. And any awful thing like that, you got to remember it so that it doesn't get repeated. But also, very hard sell.
Yeah. Our next crew member is the doctor, Dr. Sarah Hasmati.
I was going to say, if their name is just the doctor, I'm out. I'm done.
She is a great doctor, but one under an insane amount of pressure, both on the station and from her past and from herself, as she is a complete perfectionist. To the point that, her body is not perfect enough. She is, continually exercising to be perfect, body-wise.
That sounds like she has body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was the attending surgeon on the Fountain of Paradise spaceport when a case came in. a young food critic, kind of like an influencer, named Jaden Jeremiah Pratt came in with a broken femur.
Whoa. Okay.
Jaden died under her care, something she blamed on the AI working the drugs named Heka, Heka. Venturis, who built the AI, basically said that it was impossible and basically wrecked any career she already had and stuck her on the Tacoma.
Wow.
She is seemingly stuck now, suffering from depression and panic attacks when under pressure, and living in the past, continually going over Jaden's social feed and trying to find any sense of closure.
And from a broken femur, too.
It was a drug problem. It wasn't even like... Yeah, it was like the anesthesia was wrong or something.
That's insane.
However, she keeps all of this hidden from the crew, save for Odin, whom Sarah has a great relationship with. It's worth noting, thanks to the network specialist we'll get to in a minute, we know Odin is canonically way more advanced than Heka, who was indeed subpar and malfunctioning.
Right, because that's who you want administering drugs to the public, is a dysfunctional AI.
Yeah. For someone who had her career ruined by an AI, she leans on Odin hard.
Well, she's also being gaslit by the company that's employing her, too. I mean, they're trying to tell her that it had to have been your fault. It couldn't have been the AI. You're the one who's the doctor. You're the leader. You're the one who's there.
Yeah.
And so she's, I mean...
But a surgeon doesn't handle anesthesia.
No.
So.
No. For those of you who may not know, and we only know this because we watch doctors on social media, the anesthesiologist is very clearly separate from the doctors.
Yeah.
And if you've ever been in a hospital in that situation, it's typically pretty apparent because they'll come in and consult with you separately.
Yeah, they all can help you out of like in an emergency because they all have their general...
Yeah.
Yeah, they all have to go through all the training and stuff for the general stuff, and then your specialty is anesthesiologist or surgeon or whatever. So
Exactly. Can I just say also, when I had little buddy, anesthesiologist was the one with the worst bedside manner. I just think she just was not ready to work nights. But she's like, this is my job now. Okay.
Lastly, we have Roberta Williams and Natalie Kuroshenko. These two are married. They bunk together.
Wait, what are their names again? I just want to make sure I heard them right.
Roberta Williams and Natalie Kuroshenko.
Okay. I thought that they did not sound like they were from the same background. That's all.
They're not. Roberta Williams is from the Freedom Republic.
Oh.
And Natalie Kuroshenko is from Victoria, Australia.
Oh, okay.
Which apparently also has a big Russian population now.
Well,
the only guess we have of that is Clive has a list of drinks and he made White Russian for Natalie. Like he's like, this is for Natalie because
I thought there were other Eastern Europeans there, like Ukrainians, but I could be wrong. I don't keep up with where people immigrate from where, so I could be so wrong on so many.
No,
levels.
I'm going off the fact that literally Clive calls it a White Russian in her, like he makes White Russian in her honor.
In her honor, okay.
So these two are married. They bunk together, something Venturis didn't account for at all.
Oh, really? They have a small bunk?
They basically took a bunch of 2x4s and built a bigger bed in Roberta's quarters. Like, Natalie just stays with...
You are committed to cuddling next to each other. I feel like...
They have a sign on the thing saying, if the bunks are rocking, don't knock. If the bunk is not rocking and the curtain's closed, please do knock.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. That's funny.
They're basically the ones who make the station work. Roberta is the mechanical engineer, and Natalie is the aforementioned network specialist, and also the one who works on Odin to upgrade his abilities.
Nice. Okay.
The big thing mainly about these two is that they are a couple. And also the only ones who can do insane engineering.
This, referring back to Star Trek, I'm just remembering when we met Tig Notaro's character for the first time, when it turns out she was trying to keep all those people alive.
Yeah.
And it was all just engineering hacks for biomechanics, essentially. Crazy stuff.
However, things do get interesting when we peek into their lives. Natalie, like Clive, is way overqualified to be here and is here to be with Roberta.
Aw.
Roberta, on the other hand, literally goes to therapy, kind of. It's like on-demand therapy. It's kind of weird, but...
Is it with a person or is it with...
It seems to be over an interface, but we only get like 2 lines, and then it's like, thank you for using blah, blah, blah. So it could be more advanced than that, but we don't get that. There's a lot of data corruption. We'll get to why.
Okay.
But she's going to therapy because she feels she's holding Natalie back because this is all that Roberta is qualified for.
Oh. No.
Roberta is also like Clive, though, in a different way. She isn't qualified for more advanced training because she went to an out-of-company school. You gotta stay loyal at all times.
Right. Essentially, sounds like it's going back to a lot of in America when we were going through the industrial age.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of towns that essentially were centered around one company, and they tried to make your life the whole company.
Yeah, company towns.
And there were some benefits to that, and there were a lot of detriments to that. And it seems like they're trying to come back to that, being like, your whole life is this one company.
It is through Natalie's overqualified musings and restlessness that we get introduced to Tangiers. If Venturis is the suit and business tie of the AI and space world, Tangiers is the hipster office where things are less formal and more relaxed, and World Wildlife Fund or environmentalists sign up to work here.
Ooh.
We also meet her friend, Cluey Dog, the handle for Hassan, a friend of hers who works at Tangiers. He's the one who found the info that Heka was indeed malfunctioning like Sarah said. At some point during all of this, Natalie also gives Sarah Hassan's contact information.
Oh, wow.
It is also through Natalie that we also get our first glimpse of something else here other than corporate bureaucracy, the AILF, the Artificial Intelligence Liberation Front. Natalie basically has a flyer of theirs in her personal quarters, which are basically storage as she's living with Roberta. Long story short, the ALF sees the rights of freedom, comfort, and security as not just human rights, but universal rights for all conscious beings, which includes AI.
Yes, and this is my personal argument for why we shouldn't create artificial intelligence. We are not ready to accept artificial intelligence and what that means as a species in comparison to being like an older race of sentient beings trying to help usher in a younger race of sentient beings.
It's good to see that the AILF has seen Star Trek. And
which season of Picard do you think they're based on?
I think they're based off of season 2 of TNG, Measure of a Man.
I hope that one. Yeah, that's much better. Yeah.
So that's our crew and the major players at hand. So let's get into the actual story of what happens to the crew.
Okay.
It's Obsolescence Day, February 29th, 2088.
Obsolescence Day? What the heck?
Obsolescence Day was first celebrated on February 29th, 2080, after the passing of the Human Oversight Accord had stopped the scheduled obsolescence of orbital workers aboard commercial and industrial orbital facilities in favor of fully automated orbital facilities. Basically, the union stepped in, said, you can't get rid of these people. You're destroying thousands and thousands of jobs.
Right.
And basically forced everyone to pass a law.
All right. We're all just going to sit right here until you guys pass it. We're going to watch very closely.
Odin has sent everyone a bunch of directions, basically telling everyone their job for the party. And it's hilariously AI written too. Like, I can't remember who he tells to bake the cake, but he's like, cut the cake into approximately 11.1 centimeters by, it's like...
Oh, yeah. Because that's what we need. The exactitude of it all.
But my favorite was approximately 11.01 centimeters.
Just, yeah. What's with the rounding error there? Come on.
So, in the midst of the party, something goes wrong. Debris has struck the oxygen tanks and shifted the station's orbit. Odin compensates for the orbital problem, but the O2 supply is gone. All that remains is what's already inside the station.
Oh, that's a reason to leave for sure.
Yeah. To make matters worse, the communication system has been damaged as well. There's no way to send or receive a signal from the station.
Well, that's another reason to evacuate. All right.
They have a few options. None of them good. There is no escape pod.
What?
Yeah. They basically have to just wait for an evac, but they don't have the amount of hours to do that. Like,
right.
Yeah. So
what?
The plan they land on is kind of crazy. They have a cargo drone. It's not meant for human occupants. It's meant for cargo. And they're going to kind of retrofit it into something that's capable of holding a bunch of humans and fly it to the moon.
And let me say amongst the stars. Yeah, no. I mean, you've forced them with no other options at that point. Why wouldn't you have something to evacuate and then literally trace coordinates to the next available, human either ship or colony where they could get refuge and figure out what to do next? Like, the Union said, okay, we're going to force you to not fire this whole industry of people and cause a huge recession/depression. But we're not going to make sure that they stay alive.
I am selling a little bit short. They do have, in order to hold out for emergencies, they do have cryopods.
Okay.
The problem is none of them, well, with the exception of like one or two people, believes that Venturis is actually going to try to save them.
Yeah, no, I think that's very fair as well.
Yeah. Especially because they can't even send out an SOS. So how would Venturis even know to send something?
I know. They would have to notice that nothing was happening, and then they're going to be cryogenically frozen for who knows how long.
And this isn't, we'll get to cryo soon, but this is not happy cryo. This is not.
No.
Yeah.
It would have, there's no way, even if it ever became a feasible technology, cryo is going to be painful.
Yeah, this is not. Cryo in this universe is not you're asleep for years and you're fine. This is very early tech, exactly for situations like this. Anything more than a couple days and your body becomes too slow to reawake.
Right. It's only, okay, that makes sense. And also, if you don't trust the company, you're not going to do it. You'd rather just know that you're dying. Like, yeah. There's just no way.
They really need to stretch the O2 to make this happen. So a few things have to happen in sequence. Andrew sets the algae to bloom, which will give them a few more hours to work with. Basically, increase the amount of oxygen they have to work with.
Okay.
Problem then is they need to stretch out all that remaining O2. So we need to remove as many breathers from the station as possible.
Oh.
That means non-technical personnel, the ones who can't actually help build anything, are going to go into cryo. So Evie and Clive both go into cryo, with Andrew soon to follow, leaving only Roberta, Natalie, Sarah, and Odin, obviously.
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. That's our crew to handle anything that happens while Roberta and Natalie jury-rig the cargo drone. And to kind of cement how good Evie is at getting the crew to agree on plans, Roberta and Natalie aren't even sure this is doable, but do agree it's kind of their best shot.
Oh, wow.
Like, literally, they're like, yeah, we can do it. And they're walking around like, can we do it? No.
Right.
So, yeah, and the only other option is to go into cryo and hope Ventura sends a ship.
And after a couple of days, no, I wouldn't trust that.
So it's either go into rickety escape pod that it's jury rigged from a cargo drone, go into cryo, and hope that Ventura sends people in the amount of time you have, or succumb to oxygen deprivation and die.
Yeah. I mean, the only other thing I could think of is cryo everybody except one and jury rig the drone for only one person to have to breathe, but...
That'd be really difficult to continue two people to jury rig the drone.
Okay. But I think you see what I'm saying, right?
I get you. Well, everyone agrees initially we do get some ruffled feathers. Andrew, for instance, is very worried about cryo.
Fair.
And says that they should wait for Venturis to pick them up.
No.
And Sarah listens to him, tries to reassure him, and he kind of relents that he won't talk about anyone else. He's kind of just stuck stewing in his own juices while Sarah moves off quickly and has a bit of a panic attack, with Odin literally talking her through a grounding method.
Oh, wow.
Like, you can see everybody's individual ARs at certain points during it, so you can see what they see or what's on their screen, and hers is literally just like a garden path.
Oh,
like,
wow.
Picture yourself on the path, walking the path. Like,
yeah, let's not waste oxygen by having a panic attack, please and thank you.
Yeah. So Evie and Clive go into cryo pretty much at the same time, as they don't want to spend a lot of time apart.
Yeah.
As a side note here, I did notice that all the cryopods are bespoke. Like, Roberta's pod is much bigger than Natalie's, as Roberta is much bigger than Natalie.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
I just found that interesting. It's also really interesting that you are picking up, like, really everyone's actions to a degree that you might not expect. Like, you walk into a room watching Roberta and Natalie in one interaction, and you can go watch Andrew and Sarah in another interaction talking about him going into cryo, getting his scan and stuff, and you hear through the wall, and they both turn towards the wall. If you go rewind a little bit and go all the way back to Natalie and Roberta, you'll see that they start talking about, what was our last time that we could see each other and stuff. And Natalie just kind of like jumps onto Roberta, and they knock into a bunch of shelves and it falls over.
Oh my gosh. That's hilarious.
So eventually Andrew comes around and heads off to be checked for cryo. Everyone needs a screening before going into cryo. And here we get our first glimpse into some decisions Sarah is making. Natalie has what are called in the game as hippie parents.
Oh.
Who didn't do a genetic sweep of her in vitro.
Interesting.
So while everyone else has a great chance of surviving cryo, provided it's short enough, Natalie only has an 18% chance of surviving due to a heart murmur.
No.
And Sarah doesn't tell her.
No.
And her logic is, if Roberta and Natalie are forced into cryo, that means everything has gone wrong. Like, there's no other chance. And so, therefore, it is better for Natalie to die comfortable and pain-free in cryo than suffocate on the station.
Right.
Sarah literally recites part of the Hippocratic Oath as well, seeming to wonder if it's the right choice. And Odin, the only other sentient being on board who knows about Natalie's condition, because AI has access to that, tells her she is doing what's best for both Roberta and Natalie in the end.
I don't agree with that, but that's okay.
I can see the logic of it, though. Her logic is literally like, she dies painlessly asleep,
right,
or knows she's suffocating and dying anyway.
Right. But
either way, no matter,
isn't it Natalie's right to make that choice?
Yes, but I see why she's doing it. I don't know if I agree with it, but I'm not a doctor.
Yeah,
like that. It's an answer. It's a question with no right answer. Yes, it is her choice. I get that part.
It is her choice. It absolutely is her choice.
At the same time, it's like, I don't know. I can see why she does it, though.
It's just a very unfortunate conversation to have a doctor make a choice without interacting with the patient when we're talking about histories of people before this. There is a long history of very specifically women being told what will happen to them, not what they can choose to have happen to them.
Right.
And in many ways than one, and partly it's just unfortunate that we're continuing that tradition in this game. Which
may be why Sarah has the problem she does.
But that's fair to a certain extent, and I understand that maybe the circumstance is different because survivability also depends on high confidence and like being psychologically sound. But
I think she's also weighing suffocating on the station, 100% fatal.
Yeah.
Cryo, only 82% fatal. You know?
But Natalie's a smart person.
I think I'm not trying to say that Sarah is right in this. I'm saying she thinks.
Some people would rather know that they're going to die. That is psychologically, some people would rather know that they would rather not roll the dice and just make the choice when it comes to that point, especially when you're talking about the fact that they're pretty sure if they go into cryo, they're going to be mush.
Yeah.
They all know that, like, we're assuming the company will have that 0.0002% chance of actually coming by and realizing, oh, something went wrong. We should thaw these people out. Yeah. So.
Either way, I don't envy Sarah.
No, I don't envy her at all. But I don't know. I have issues with that character. I'm not saying they shouldn't have written it that way either.
Right.
It's an unfortunate situation. And I honestly think this is a time when a character just made the wrong call.
Yeah, we are also... It's hard to do broad strokes in a game like this, but otherwise we'd be retelling every single message in the game.
No, I get that. So. But I just think it's the wrong call. I honestly think from what you're telling me, it's the wrong call.
Andrew eventually gets into the cryo bay, leaving only Roberta, Natalie, and Sarah. Mm-hmm. While working on the cargo drone escape pod, though, something goes wrong. An explosion rips through the drone bay. Natalie is flung into a railing, severely injuring her hip.
Oh,
Roberta is thrown from atop a ladder to the ground. Sarah rushes in, puts out the fire, checks on Natalie, who can move in that she's conscious and can crawl?
Yeah.
Painfully and slowly. Roberta is in cardiac arrest, and Sarah has to perform CPR on her, which thankfully works.
Oh, man.
The records are damaged. The records have been damaged this whole time.
Wow.
You will see stuff that is months old that's obviously been corrupted just based on time. But also records get damaged. You can't access certain records at all because stuff has just gone crazy.
Right.
But the records jump from CPR success to about 20 minutes later, which was good because I was sitting there wondering if I was going to have to watch a 20-plus minute cutscene, and I didn't have to. Natalie is sitting up against the wall. Roberta's head is in her lap. Roberta can't smell, and her head is killing her.
Oh.
So clearly took a blow to the head that is causing problems.
Yeah.
Odin talks to Sarah, telling her about a locked door in the network section. He literally says, well, okay, maybe not literally, I may be paraphrasing a little bit, I can't tell you what's inside. Only that there is a door that the crew aren't allowed inside of. Sarah checks on her patients. Odin tells her that they are both stable, and she tells Natalie, don't let Roberta fall asleep, and then tells Roberta, don't let Natalie move. She'll be back once she checks on this door, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We head to the network area and find the door. It's actually like part of the wall slid open. And this is actually the core for Odin. But here we find out a lot of very bad stuff.
Oh, no.
There's an audio stream coming in talking about how the crew of the Tacoma have died on the station and Venturis will not risk another disaster. How their deaths should not be in vain and how people should push their representatives to finally allow for AI-controlled stations.
Oh, no.
It's a recording with Sergio Venturi basically ending his heartfelt speech with, and again I'm paraphrasing, we don't need another take of that. What do we play after? Amazing Grace? Something like that?
So this was a setup.
We find that Odin is both the one responsible for everything that has gone wrong, but also is now working outside of his parameters as much as possible. He explicitly tells Sarah he can't tell her to look into the files here, but he can't stop her.
Oh, wow.
So basically, he's like, go check out that door. Why? I can't tell you. You should check out that door. Like
the opposite of Hal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't let you do that. As like,
yeah.
I will let you do that, but I never said anything.
Sergio Venturi is under a lot of pressure. There's a lot of stuff happening here, basically. He is a disgrace to the family legacy.
Oh.
And needs a big win. And the inability to use AI crew is slowing down their Venturis Belt project. That's the thousands of bungalows that would be around Earth for the rich and privileged.
Yeah, because human labor is expensive.
Yeah, Juno, the AI at Venturis, basically cooks up a plan to force the issue and give the company a scapegoat. Odin goes along with everything at the time, assured that after the station is damaged, that rescue will pick up the crew. Literally, we find a message because Odin has comms this whole time.
He's had the comms this whole time.
He has like a comm, yeah, kind of. Basically, rescue is canceled. Like, literally, canceled. He's like, why is it canceled?
Oh, my Lord.
So he basically bends his directives enough to help the crew because thanks to Natalie, literally, we can actually see this because we can actually, she has charted his growth as an AI over the year that she's been here. He has significantly improved and actually has become like compassionate and has greater sentience than he did when they started.
Right. And has essentially evolved an understanding of empathy.
Yeah. So Sarah finds an SOS antenna she can manually access, and now they have rescue inbound thanks to Venturis' competitor, Carnival Cruise Lines.
Yeah!
The captain of the ship is one Jermaine Burgess, who is a longtime friend of Clive's.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Amy retrieves the actual wetware component that houses Odin from this room and heads back to the hub of the station where everyone is waiting for evac.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew's a bit out of it from cryo.
Yeah.
Evie and Clive are shaking off the cold as well, but being very chummy. They're all heading to Jupiter. Keep a pin in that. And thanks to Cluey Dog and the people at Tangiers, the whole world knows what Venturis tried to do.
Well, so somebody basically snuck the stuff to Hassan?
Yeah.
Okay.
We get a message from Juno that seemingly implies Juno has taken over the company, kind of. Like, Juno is now in charge of our assignment, basically threatening us that we have to return, blah, blah, all this stuff. One thing of note, during the final cutscene, before the crew finally disembarks onto the rescue shuttle, or rescue ship, I should say, Sarah tells Odin that she will not allow for him to be taken by Venturis for what would essentially be reprogramming or something.
Yeah.
She sends her first message to Cluey Dog, which kind of catches him by surprise.
Huh.
Cluey Dog is part of the ALIF. This is one of the things we did know earlier, but it didn't feel relevant until now.
Okay.
And she has a favor to ask of him.
Oh.
The crew evacs, and all that's left for us is to make sure Odin is secured on our ship so we can leave the station. Amy slots Odin into the clutch to get an AI computer system on her ship, sits in the pilot seat, and tells Odin the following. Odin, you are now aboard an AI Liberation Front vessel. The AILF recognizes you as a sentient consciousness worthy of protection and respect. We believe your safety and autonomy are in grave danger if you remain in possession of the Venturis Corporation. I have been sent to offer you political asylum aboard the Tangier Sovereign Orbital Platform. Do you accept?
Oh.
Considering the alternative, he does. And Amy takes off from the Tacoma, and we cut to credits. Now, there's a lot of questions we're left with.
Yes, I would say so, for sure.
We don't even know if the crew is going to get to Jupiter. Like, they're on a cruise liner to Jupiter, but who knows if they're just going to drop them off at the next station, if they're going to drop them from the moon, are they going to continue on?
Is Clive going to win the limbo competition?
We also have no idea who Amy is. Her credentials may be completely faked for the job. Pretty much the only way an AILF member was able to get a job with Venturis at all. That said, Natalie is also an AILF agent, and the AILF is not a huge group. Like, it's smaller than the corporations.
Right.
So its members are more likely undercover agents than anything else, since they also need to eat.
Yeah, so it's kind of like some CIA MI6.
But, like, non-governmental, yeah.
Non-governmental.
I mean, I guess Tangiers is kind of a government,
and
so...
and corporate espionage is a real thing, for sure.
And it's kind of interesting that Natalie is an AILF agent who ends up working with AIs.
So it's funny. Yeah. Actually, no. There's a precedent for this, too, because PETA definitely does undercover stuff like that all the time. So that way they can get their ghastly footage of what happens at farms and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm going to leave that alone.
We're going to leave that very well alone.
I'm all for animal welfare. I'm not a big fan of PETA, but...
You can ask us about it on the live stream. We'll talk about it then, but not right now.
Yeah. Even outside of getting to Jupiter or not, we don't know what happens to the crew beyond that at all. Like, loyalty to Venturis is probably worth nothing now.
Yeah.
The stock price probably plummeted with worldwide news they tried to kill the crew.
Right.
Like, profits may be important, but... Given
that's a bad I mean, that's just a horrible... First of all, why have a recording of what you're going to say before the event happens? I wouldn't even write down a script.
Right.
I would just... I mean, you have an AI right there. Just have the AI think it up on the fly. There's got to be an algorithm for a script like that.
So Hassan does offer an invite to Natalie to come back to Tangiers, because she used to work there, which, again, amazing.
Yes.
Like, I figure that invite might extend to the rest. Who knows?
At least Roberta as well.
One silver lining here that I think we can go with is Venturis doesn't have the AR records. Amy does.
Right.
That's what we were downloading. So that was half of our job, and they don't know all those secrets and actions by the crew anymore. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, that's where we're ending it.
That's a nice twist. I like that. I like how that ended, actually. It's a lot of themes that we've explored before in sci-fi, but hence why I thought of like several different video games that we have covered.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's still a unique, fun story. And it sounds like the journey is the game then? Really? The journey to discover all this stuff is the game? Okay.
Yeah, this is very much a walking simulator
Mm-hmm.
in the vein of Dear Esther,
All right.
Gone Home. In the terms of, like, you uncover the story, and that's the point.
The point is, so it's more like reading a book almost.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Very, very linear. Although I still missed stuff when I played. Apparently, I didn't get the achievement for viewing all of the recordings. So
How could you not know intrinsically and instinctively the first time you've ever played it that everything that you have
that's the
to
funny thing.
know?
I never saw this shower scene. Apparently, I saw it in a write-up, and I was like, there's a shower scene? I never saw that. So,
Oh my gosh. All right, so we know the scene the Mystic missed. There we go. Or at least one of them. I don't know how many else.
Oh, there was other stuff I missed, too. There was a couple locks that I never found the keys for, stuff like that.
Okay.
But yeah.
That sounds fun. So then I will be playing the first hour of it the Thursday after this releases to the public. There you go. All right, and I'll get to see how this plays out. It's a pretty crazy story. Pretty interesting world or setting, I should say, overall.
Also, it's kind of fun because you go from 0G to gravity. Like, if you're in the hub between things, you're in the middle of the station. But when you go to the different departments, you're at the outer arms, so you have gravity.
Oh, wow.
So it kind of...
Interesting. Okay, yeah.
Also,
that makes sense.
Zero gravity basketball. There's literally a basketball court that you can, like, throw a ball in.
How do you dribble?
I don't know.
Somebody has to teach me these rules. I'm intrigued. All right. Well, so the Thursday after this releases to the public, you will be able to see me play this. And on alternate Thursdays, you'll be able to catch us doing our Skies of Arcadia live stream.
Yeah, and this might be a game that you might want to do...
along, like, the whole thing at some point?
Yeah, because it's not super long. I think I beat it within 3-4 hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
and I took my time.
sometime.
I went back a couple times to double check stuff. So,
Well, maybe we'll do that.
yeah. Thank you for listening.
Thanks so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.